substitute solicitor because Andy Carroll, our regular guy, is probably off on National Guard training or something.
That's what he wanted me to say.
Is that what he wanted you to say?
He's really skeevy.
He's a good guy. And our solicitor, I mean, not our solicitor, our stenographer is Karen Brown. Let's see, what am I supposed to remind everybody? Only one person speaking at a time, because Karen does a remarkable job. I don't know how they do it, but she can't take down two people talking at the same time. So wait until you're recognized if you have something you want to add. If anybody has a cell phone, please turn it off or to vibrate. We all love the 1812 overture, but we don't want to hear it in the middle of this meeting. When your case is called, we'll ask you to come to the podium and tell us what you'd like to do with the property in question. We've already, some of us may have seen watched the planning commission on Monday evening. I've gotten really addicted to it. We used to ask the staff, well, what did the planning commission, what were they thinking or something like that. Now we can know. Now we can know. The planning commission, recommends to us. We value their recommendation. We value the recommendation, the advice of the zoning officer. But then, like my mother told my father, you talk and I'll listen and then I'll make up my mind.
Mr. Rojas couldn't be here, so this is a representative from York that can be here to speak in his behalf.
Yes, sir. Jaymir Lawrence, Jaymir, Lawrence, Lawrence. 1837 North Sherman Street, York, PA, 17406.
I'm not sure, I'm not going to speak for anyone else on the board, but, um, and I don't fault you entirely because the Now, I don't fault you entirely for this because, the city is so thrilled about the online application process. It almost seems as though they don't want to be bothered by people coming in and perhaps needing a little help with completing an application. But there is so much lacking. When I opened the packet, I looked everywhere to see where's the rest of it, and the zoning officer said that he gives everyone. I don't have one right in front of me here, but it's a list of things that the application is supposed to include. One is a floor plan, and this is for the benefit of anybody else listening, not just you. It's supposed to include a floor plan of not necessarily the whole building, the second and third floors in this case are not in question. It's the first floor. And it doesn't have to be professionally drawn. I believe people should be able to come in here and present their application and their case without, I don't think little people with little pocketbooks ought to have to come in here with a lawyer and an architect and a land use planner and a something else and a something else. But we need some information, and it's not here. There are 3 or 4 pages that I can't even tell what they're supposed to be. And I personally, after been doing this for 22 years, and I wouldn't know how to proceed to consider this application, and I'm not saying that to indicate to you that I am leaning against your application. I'm not. I never make up my mind until the last word of testimony is given. Never. And I'm not going to start now. But I'm going to move that we table this application. I personally, and if nobody agrees with me, then we'll proceed, but I frankly am going to have to depend on on my three fellow board members to do most of the heavy lifting with it, because I don't have enough here to work with it.
Yeah, and I don't have enough information either, so I'll second that.
So what, if there's gonna be a motion, well, first of all, Mr. Lawrence, do you have any information or documentation with you tonight to present to the board?
No.
Okay. So that being the case, normally if you're gonna you would continue the case, because the hearing's been opened. So if you continue it to the next meeting, it won't have to be re-advertised.
Right.
So if you continue it to a date certain, so if you're gonna do the motion, then I would make a motion to continue the case until the next zoning hearing board meeting in March. And then that way, we won't have to re-advertise.
Okay, I wasn't sure there was a big difference between tabling it and continuing it. Either one works for me.
Well, the thing about tabling, technically, if you table, it's off until somebody brings it back on.
Okay,
But since this is kind of like more of a formal,
yeah,
and that's usually done during like a regular meeting, but for you, for this purpose, for the zoning hearing, since it's more quasi judicial and there's notice requirements, by continuing it to the next meeting, then the city won't have to re-advertise.
works for me. Okay, I withdraw my previous motion, and I move that we continue this case until the March meeting. And do you still second it?
Yes, I second.
Okay, it's been moved by Williams, seconded by Nugent to continue the case, and we will take it up at the beginning of our March meeting. Calling for the vote, I'm sorry.
Before the vote, I'd like to have a discussion. Just to enter into the record, I personally had a discussion with the zoning officer before this meeting, and I just want to add to the record that Mr. Rojas was supposed to be here at the meeting. He sent a representative instead. Mr. Rojas was supposed to be bringing more information about this case to beef up the package, and so I just want to get that into the record, so if he wants to see what the record said during this case, he knows that he needs to bring more information to make his case stronger. Thank you.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to continue the case until our March meeting. Calling for the vote, Mr. Nugent.
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman.
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins.
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. And Williams, aye. Work with the zoning officer. He will help you. And like I said, we're not asking you to spend hundreds, thousands, or even hundreds of dollars on professional. I mean, if you know somebody who's good with a pen, halfway good with a pen, help them to sketch out the first floor plan. What you propose, apartment A and apartment B, the rooms, the size, the dimensions of the rooms, and Monty will think of some things that I'm not, because the city prints a list listing the things that you are supposed to include with your application. There's a couple of them that I think, really, do we need that? But we need to see what you want to do with that first floor. And I frankly live in that neighborhood. I understand that commercial is fading out there. So I'm not starting with a prejudice against you, but I need to see a serious application, I just do. And I hate to bring people back a second time, but I just don't feel like we have any choice. Okay?
Yes, sir.
I have a quick question, back to the zoning officer before we dismiss on this case. Does Mr. Rojas get a copy of what was submitted to us? A hard copy, or does he have access to that? Because it's basically a print off from a computer, as our chairman was saying, that the computer printed this thing out, you know, he did a computer application, I'm sure from California, and it's just incomplete, a lot of it, because the way it was printed out to us. And if possible, I mean, I'll give you my copy, and you can send it to him and say, here it is, or I don't know if the zoning officer can get a copy of it to him, but.
Mr. Rojas is the one who turns all the information into
Right,
us.
But the information that gets printed out, it appears that the way it's printed or presented through the computer, it's like, you know, improvements of floor plans, and then it's got another attachment, a link to it. So it's not printing the link. So whatever is getting sent to us is a mistake also with maybe the right here, or he needs to understand what is being given to us so he can improve what he's getting. So,
I get what you're saying. But
I mean, if we don't see the link in the pictures here, there's nothing here. So he's got some stuff still in here, but photographs, no results to display. Your profile, dashboard records. I mean, it's incomplete. It may not be complete on his end also. And I'm thinking there's stuff here that we're just not seeing. And there's a site plan, and then it goes to another.
yeah, there is, because Mr. Rojas said he had pictures put in there, but they're not showing, and every time I tried to print it off, it was printing off like this.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's the way he did it in our system, he messed something up or whatever, but we could not get it to print out the normal way it should print out.
So that's what I'm saying. He should see what the hard copy we're getting is. If you can get him a copy, I can hand you my copy, because that'll be, you go, sir.
So I got plenty of copies for him.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Yep. I think
Thank you.
we can proceed. We don't have a case number 5. Would you read in case number 6, Mr. Roush?
Yes. Case number 6 is 6/2/2024-Z-SE/V. The applicant is Cesadou Novoling, 232 Prospect Street, New York. Property location is 800 West King Street. It is in the UN2, the Urban Residential Neighborhood District. The background is this is a single-family residence that at some point in the past was converted into a 2-unit residence. The applicant purchased the property in 2011 as a 2-unit residence and has used the property as a 2-unit residence since then. And then apparently, I'm not entirely certain, but there was some inspection or something by the city that raised this issue of it, I guess, being converted from a single-family residence to a 2-unit residence without any prior approval, which I believe is what's bringing the applicant here before you tonight. There are 4 variants requested and 1 special exception. The variances are for the definitional variance to allow the conversion of a single-family residence to a 2-unit residence, since the definition in the conversion section 130401 does not include a residential property for a conversion. The Planning Commission recommended approval of that variance. The second one is a dimensional variance from density requirements to allow conversion of a single-family residence. And the Planning Commission recommended approval of that variance. The third variance is from the requirement that the property must be vacant for 2 years. The Planning Commission recommended approval of that variance. And the fourth variance is from off-street parking requirement of 1.5 parking spaces per dwelling unit. 3 spaces would be required, off-street parking would be required. The Planning Commission recommended approval of that variance. And then the special exception is to allow the multifamily conversion from a different use. And that's, to allow that is you need to do by special exception. And the Planning Commission recommended approval of that special exception.
Thank you. Mr., would you pronounce your last name for me?
Novana?
Novalin?
Yes.
Close enough? Novalin?
Yeah, that goes enough.
Okay, okay. I want to acknowledge that I spoke with Mr. Novalan briefly on the phone, I think Tuesday afternoon, because I got the material in my packet a little bit verhoodled, and I wanted to make sure that the picture that I assumed was his property was in fact, and we did not discuss any other elements of the case. I wanted to make sure that I was labeling the photograph correctly. The record indicates that you bought this property, I think, about 2011,
Yes,
and you bought it as a two-unit
yes,
building. It appeared to be an operating two-apartment building. Take it from there.
yeah.
Can you spell your last name for me?
Last name is S.E., last name Novalin.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And tell us again in your own words, what brings you here with this application?
What bring me here, because when we bought the property, it was like 2 unit, we keep it like the way it is. But in that inspection this year, since that we are inspection every 2 years, but this year, the inspector cautioned said, it's not supposed to be 2 unit. The requirement to do a zoning determination, I do the zoning determination, it was not approved. The requirement to do a zoning appeal board, I did. That the reason I be here tonight to ask him to consider if we could keep it the property the way it is as a 2 unit.
So it was purchased as a 2-unit. It's been rented as a 2-unit since 2011,
Yes,
and we've been inspecting it for,
Has it been inspected and licensed?
yes.
Now, one thing that I recall from the planning commission, they questioned you a little bit about the parking, because I think one of the variances that you need is a variance from the parking requirement. It appeared to me from the photographs and from the address, I guess, 800 sounds as though it would probably be on a corner.
Yes,
And so is it, as one of the photographs appears, that there is a street, or it may be a narrow street, but there's a street down, running along the side of the property?
yes,
Is that available for parking?
yeah, we do have a parking space there, but it's not like 2 parking, but you do have a parking space. Or we have more place. I don't know if we could make it more parking if we have to.
Sorry, Mr. Noble, how many off-street parking spaces do you have right now?
The way it is, it would look like 2, but we consider, yes.
Chairperson Franklin, in 2022, it was listed as a 1-unit. And before that, the last time it was inspected was 2015. Bring that up.
Are you
Also a 1-unit.
Are you indicating that there was some gap there? I mean, there were
Yes.
the inspections to occur every other year?
Yes, they supposed to occur every other year. And on his, he had one in 2015, and it said it was a 1 unit, and then he had one in February of 2022, and it said 1 unit. It wasn't until, I believe, the 25th of last year when they found out it was 2 units.
How many square feet is each unit?
I'm not calculate that.
130.
Downstairs, like, consider like 2 bedroom. Upstairs, like 4 bedroom. On the second floor.
I have a question about when you bought the place back in November of 2011, it was sold as a tax sale, correct?
Yes.
Did you get to see what it looked like inside before you bought it? Because most tax sales, you don't know what
At
it
the
looks like.
auction, you don't know what you buy only when you get in. You don't know what you get.
Right,
Until when you get in, you could see what you get.
okay.
Yes.
So you had no idea that it was a 1 or 2 unit place before you even bought it?
No, we don't know.
Okay,
Only
thanks.
till we could see 2 meter outside, we could say that the 2 unit. Only thing.
Okay. And another question is the, I don't have any pictures or anything to see on it, but electricity, gas, water, is it divided up into 2 different units? I mean, the water may be the single
The
source
wa-
coming
the
in.
water is a single, the electric is a 2 meter. They're running based by electric to the first floor. Down upstairs, they're using the furnace for heating.
Okay. Does it have gas?
They have gas for second floor, not the first floor.
Okay, not the first floor, okay. Okay. And so heating on the first floor is electric?
Yes.
Okay. 2 meters, 1 gas meter, okay, got it.
If I may, Monty, are the inspections, I'm assuming that they're rental inspections?
Yes.
And would they only occur if there's more than, in other words, if you're just renting out a single-family home, would a rental inspection still be required?
Yes, any rental property has to have inspections every other year in the city of York.
Whether it's a multifamily or single-family?
Don't matter.
Okay.
Have you had occupants since you bought it? I mean, have there been people living in two different families, 2 different
Yes.
groups?
Different family.
2 different families on each, okay. And it's divided up into, first floor is 1 unit, second floor is,
1 unit.
is second and third floor, if I remember reading it.
Yes. Well,
Okay, okay.
I mean, from the drawings, it looks like a massive property. Is it as big as it looks?
Yeah, it's a nice sized property.
I mean, in my mind, that looks like it could and probably should be a 2-unit property. Corner property. Looks like parking's on the side. I would get it up to code.
Just a quick question. Was the property vacant when you purchased it?
Yes.
And when did you get tenants in?
Yeah. Since we bought it, we're working on it. Probably we buy it 2011, probably 2012. That's why I started getting new.
Did you show any inspections in 2012 or anything like that, back into that time? Where you went back to 2015?
That's the earliest one I found one.
Okay.
But see, this is our new system, so if he did do one back in 12, it would be in City Groves.
Okay. In your opinion, you have 2 parking spots. Is there enough room to make a third, in your opinion?
Yeah, they have enough room.
Okay.
Is there a little bit of, at least a little bit of backyard space?
Yes.
And in the photograph that, of, I guess it was the only photograph of the outside of the house, it looks like there might be room for two, at least two, cars parked along what I presume is the side street. I forget what that street would be. And then if you were able to add a third space at the back, I think you'd probably be covered pretty well for parking.
Is there anyone here who's opposed to this project?
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us?
No.
Any other questions?
No.
Well, I don't believe I have any.
I'm looking up West King, 800 East, sorry, where am I looking?
Okay.
West King Street right now. I just want to look at what's next to it and around it. It's a good- So it's South Hawthorne Street is on the side where we're looking at the
I should have said that.
parking.
I was guessing that.
And there is an alley in the background. I see where there's a yard in the back, and then also it appears to be a parking spot right behind the yard.
Yes.
Looks like you could have two cars. There's one car parking in the picture I'm looking at right now, and then there's multiple cars. In fact, there's 5 cars parking in the area where we're looking at on exhibit, the first picture in the exhibits over here. So there's 5 cars parking along the house. So there's plenty of parking available. And it appears that the cars are parking almost into the grass that you see on the picture. So, because there doesn't appear to be really a sidewalk along there. So I think parking is really not an issue for this place.
That was my feeling.
Yeah. Thanks for your comment.
Yes, sir.
Well, okay, I think we may be ready to vote on the issues. I need a little practice at making motions. I haven't done any for a while. In the case of application number 6-2024-Z-SE-V regarding 800 West King Street, I move to approve a variance to the definition of multifamily conversion from a different use, as defined in section 1304.01-1.02.002A in the UN2 zoning district.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Williams, seconded by
Nugent.
Mr. Nugent, to approve the variance to the definition. Calling for the vote. Mr. Nugent?
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman?
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins?
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. And Williams, aye. Also, in the case of number 6-2024, regarding 800 West King Street, I move to approve the dimensional variance for multifamily conversion found in 1304.01-1.02.002. to allow for conversion to 2 units.
I'll second.
Second, it's been moved by Williams, seconded by Mr. Nugent, to approve the variance for multifamily conversion. Calling for the vote, Mr. Nugent.
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman.
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins. Ms. Jenkins?
I'm looking at something, sir.
I'm sorry?
I was looking at something. Aye.
Jenkins, aye, and Williams, aye. In the case of application number 6-2024, I move to approve a variance to the required off-street parking spaces found in section 1304.01-1, .02.002.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Williams, seconded by Mr. Nugent to approve the variance to the parking requirement to allow the 2 parking spaces. Calling for the vote, Mr. Nugent.
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman.
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins.
Aye.
Jenkins, aye, and Williams, aye. And in the case of application number 6-2024, regarding 800 West King Street, I move to approve the special exception to allow the multifamily use as defined in section 1304.01-1.02.002 in the UN2 zoning district.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Williams, seconded by Mr. Nugent to approve the special exception to allow the multifamily use. Calling for the vote, Mr. Nugent.
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman.
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins.
Aye.
Jenkins, aye, and Williams, aye.
Mr. Chairman, I believe there's one more variance, and that's
Yeah.
the 2-year vacancy requirement.
Want me to make the motion? Yeah, it's just one more we missed.
Oh. Sure, would you?
Sure. I move to approve a variance to waive the special exception provision that the property must have been vacant for 2 years, found in section 1311.11C1 for the property located at 800 West King Street.
And I'll second that. In case number 6-2024, regarding 800 West King Street, I move to approve the variance to the requirement that the property must have been vacant for 2 years. Calling for the vote, Mr. Nugent.
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman.
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins.
Aye.
Jenkins, aye, and Williams, aye. That was not listed on my,
Yeah, one skipped us. Thank you.
thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Can I just add something just for my own education? On the variance for the density requirements, is that relating to the dwelling units per acre? Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I was looking at the right thing.
Let the record reflect that we have been joined by Councilwoman Elsbeth Bupp, our former vice chair, and we will never tire of your company. I didn't want to suggest that, but since you did. Okay.
Case number 7-2024-Z-SE/V. The applicant, who's the equitable owner, is, well, actually, it's three individuals, Cody, Godfrey, Derek Shaw, and Steve Foot. The address is 1300 East Market Street, York. Property location is 1215 East Market Street. It's in the UN1 Urban Mixed Residential Commercial District. The background on the property, it's currently vacant, and the applicant desires to use the property as a rooming house, which is allowed by special exception in the UN1 zoning district. The applicant requests two variances. One is from the requirement that each unit contain at least 250 square feet. And the second is that the variance from the requirement that the building be owner occupied. Planning Commission recommended approval of both of those variances. And then there needs to be a special exception approval to allow a rooming house in the UN1 district, and the Planning Commission recommended approval of that special exception.
Thank you, sir.
Chairman,
Would you give,
they actually wanted to go for another variance that they brought up on Monday night, and it's the variance to allow more than 6 rooms for this rooming house because the property is so big.
and the Planning Commission recommended approval
I believe so.
of that. Okay, would you give your names and address for the
Derek Shaw,
stenographer?
656 Campbell Road, York 17402.
Cody Godfrey, 2976 East Prospect Road, York, PA, 17402.
Tell us about your project.
So we are seeking a special exemption to allow a 18-room rooming house located at 1215 East Market Street. The property has been sitting vacant for a few number of years. There is a good-sized parking lot out back, as well as 5 to 6 off-street parking spots out front, in addition to the parking lot out back. Cody and I are full-time property managers now. I'm not sure if you guys remember us from last year. We bought Bill Price's rooming houses off of him, and we own about 150 rooms total throughout York County, and half of them are already in the city. So we're experienced investors when it comes to rooming houses. We're not someone, we're not just some new investor looking to start up a rooming house without knowing what we're getting into. But
Yeah, guys, if we had 1,000 more rooms, honestly, we could fill them. Affordable housing, as you guys know, it's a huge demand in York, everywhere you look. We get 5 to 10 calls a week at least, just off of a couple signs we have on East Market Street for people looking for rooms. It's crazy, but it's the most affordable form of housing I think you can find, so I just think it's important to try to get a roof over some of these people's heads.
And we are fortunate enough to work with a couple different programs in York that help assist in housing. So it was nice to make those relationships with those companies.
Remind us who you're working with?
Yeah, we, AmeriCorps for sure, Family First Health program, It's About Change, Tenfold, there's a couple different ones.
A couple of them have us on speed dial. They just call us up and see if
Yeah.
we have rooms open. So. Over on the Spring Garden side of Market Street, there's 3 rooming houses. We own all 3 of those. We own a large one in Dallastown and a large one on Eastern Boulevard, so like larger rooming houses. I think 6 of ours are more than 12 units, so 18 may seem a little crazy, but in our opinion, it's really not. And this will be more of like an upscale rooming house. It's a nicer property. It'll be upkept, professionally cleaned.
And when did you purchase the property?
It's under contract.
It's under contract. And what is the current use of the facility?
It's 2 apartments up top, and then the first floor they used as apartments, but also commercial use also. And then back before that, it used to be one massive large house, from our knowledge.
One massive,
Large house.
Okay.
single Family, yeah.
I think it's known as like mixed use right now, or
Yeah.
something along those lines.
That's correct.
Okay, can you just sort of describe your game plan for putting these 18 rooms in this property?
So I believe you guys have the floor plan in
Yep.
front of you. So if you start pretty much counting the rooms, it comes out to 18. Some of the living rooms would be converted into what we would call a room. Every single room would obviously have its own door, own lock, so they'd be locked. There's no 3 rooms. There's 5.5 bathrooms throughout, and then 2 kitchens as well. And there is a basement, but there would be no rooms in the basement.
Which rooms are in question here as far as the rooms under 250 square feet?
That's a good question. A number of them will be over 250 square feet, but I don't have an exact count, unfortunately, of how many will be under.
I believe if you're looking at the left floor plan,
Okay.
the 2 rooms to the left, those are a little bit smaller. And then in the middle one, the room below the kitchen is also fairly small as well. So that would be under 250 square foot, I believe. And then on the 3rd floor, the one to the very right, the bottom 2 bedrooms, I believe if my eyes don't deceive me, they are 12 by 11, so they would be just under the square footage as well.
So how many would that be?
So it'd be about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5?
Yes, correct.
And I can't see those dimensions. Do you?
Yeah,
You
it's
guys
pretty
have,
tough.
have eyes good enough to,
Which ones are you looking at? 10 feet, 7 inches, 13.
10, 7 by 13, 6, and 12, 1 by 11, 3.
Yeah, he's looking all the way over. It's 9 feet, 7 inches by 12 feet, 4 inches. The other one is 9 feet, 7 inches by 10 feet, 6 inches. I count 17 when I kind of went around here looking at them. Are you gonna,
On the,
is one of the living rooms gonna go away? I thought I heard something about a living room.
yeah, so the middle floor plan, the bottom room that says primary bedroom.
Yeah.
It's like a massive room.
Yeah.
The plan would be to put a hallway right smack in the middle.
And divide it
Put a room
into
on
two.
each side.
Are you leaving on the first floor, that you have a family room and a living room there in the lower
Yes, sir.
right corner? Are you leaving that alone for like a place for socialization, all these people that are gonna be there?
They would be rooms.
They'd be rooms too, because
Yeah.
then I got some other places that, okay, how about going up to the 3rd floor with me?
Yep.
Bedroom, bedroom, and then it's got room, room, room. And are all 3 of those gonna be, so I have 5 rooms up on the top floor.
So there would only be 3 rooms on the top floor, the large room, like the L-shaped one,
Yeah,
and the 2 on the bottom right. The one in front of the bottom right would kind of just be an open common space. And there's kind of, the roof pitches there almost, so
Okay.
it would be too weird of a
How
room.
about the big one that just says room, it's on the left, on the 3rd floor there?
Yep, that would be a room rental.
Oh, okay.
The one at the top would not be a room.
The one on the top that's
Yeah.
like the L shape, okay, so
Yes,
that's
yeah.
not
Right, the
one.
real small L
Yep.
shape.
How about the one right in front of the ones that say bedroom? That's also a no? You
That's
said-
also, no, yeah, that's where the roof is kind of pitched.
Ah, okay. So there's 3, okay, got those 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, I'm still missing some now. What the heck? Oh, wait, room.
I did kind of mark the rooms on my page. I should have did that for yours if you want to see mine.
I think I got them, I just,
Okay.
that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
So the only common areas would be like the kitchens and the bathrooms?
That's correct. Yep, and to put that into perspective, at 1416 East Market Street, which is one that we just bought off of Mr. Price, there's actually no kitchen there, and there's no real common space other than the bathrooms, and that property functions very well, so I feel like this would be a little bit better with the kitchens. It's a little bit more common space.
I think we might wanna have that exhibit, if that's an exhibit, to submit it.
It's the same floor plan that everyone has. I just kind of labeled like
What,
rooms 1 through 18.
right, I think that might be
Sure.
good to have for the record.
Yeah.
It would go
He can make a copy of it if you want, so you can keep your own.
We should put that on our file for you.
I guess I have a question also about bathrooms, since, I mean, I'm looking at the first floor, there's one bathroom, and you're gonna have approximately I think it's 9 now. 9 bedrooms there. Is that enough?
I believe there's 2 bathrooms on the first floor,
Yeah, I
actually.
think there's 2.5.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there's a bath and a bath, okay.
Yep.
I see the half,
The third floor would be the only floor without a bathroom, but there are 2 on the second floor.
okay. Yeah, bath
Two
here,
bathrooms on
bath here.
second floor, how many bedrooms on second floor?
Another one.
Oh, yeah, there.
I would
Okay,
need my
so it's
sheet.
10, okay.
On the second floor, there's 3 bathrooms.
3 bathrooms on the
two-
second floor?
Yes.
Yeah, there is 3.
3 bathrooms on the second floor, and
2. Okay,
full bathrooms.
yeah, they look full.
Yeah.
The first floor only has a half bath,
That's
it's 2.5. So 1, 2.5, 1,
2.5 baths.
2, 3, so it's, what, 5.5 bathrooms in the whole place? Okay.
All right, and how many rooms on the first floor?
I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, these are gonna be rooms too, so 1.
There are 8 rooms on the first floor.
Okay, so it's 8, since you got that thing, it's 8 on the first, how many on the second? Sure.
Let's see, we got 9 through 18.
Yeah, well,
9, 10,
Another 8.
there's 7 on the second floor,
There's
and then
3, okay, I can just do the math.
third.
I got it. Okay, that adds up.
No baths on the third floor.
Third.
Correct.
Correct.
Is there any historical value of this house? I mean, I mean, it looks pretty cool inside.
It
The
does.
pictures you took were pretty neat.
Not to our knowledge.
Not to your knowledge, okay.
Yeah, the seller might know. There certainly might be, but I'm not sure.
I think he's owned it since 2012, and he just hasn't really done anything with it since.
Right. Go. And it looks like there was a garage in the back, too?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm going to mark this drawing exhibit 1 for the record, which is floor plans for the house, with locations on how many units and bathrooms and kitchens.
And I think my last question is, you have an agreement for sale, but is it all dependent on what we decide tonight?
It is.
Okay.
And as I'm representing the city, they just wanted me to convey the message back to y'all that we really don't want to start, well, not start, but continue to be letting rooming houses go without the owners living in their own site, because that's the only way to regulate them, basically. But like I said, y'all the board, so it's y'all decision ultimately. We just want to put that on record.
To add to that, guys, we're very hands-on with our rooming houses. We're there personally multiple times a week, work full-time as property managers. So, you know, they're a full-time job.
I mean, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, so if something happens, how does somebody who's rooming there get a hold of you? How do?
They have our cell phone numbers. They can call us.
I mean, in other words, do you give them contact information?
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep, every lease has a copy of our emails and both our phone numbers.
This is just an editorial, but it just seems to me that you're applying for a rooming house. Yes, we're looking at a variance for 18 bedrooms, and rooming houses are only up to 6. It appears to me that the city should look at a new term for anything that's over 6 that you can apply for and get that approval. Rooming house just doesn't seem to fit this mold anymore because, as you mentioned, you also have other ones, and I know last year, I do remember you from last year. It seems like something else needs to be developed to fit that model.
Sure.
I'd kind of second that. This is definitely a monster property. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can justify in my mind turning it into a rooming house. I mean, what's your game plan behind that, or your thought behind that? Besides, like, it'll make a ton of money.
Sure, there's obviously a monetary gain, you know?
Yeah.
No doubt we're not gonna do it for free.
Yeah.
Like I said, if we had 1,000 more rooms and 1,000 more people to help, we could fill them almost immediately if we wanted to.
Yep. Can you make 6 work financially?
No,
Gotcha.
not at that size property.
Yeah. Monty, what do you see these properties, what's happening in other properties around there?
Well, that part of the block is businesses across the streets, a couple residential up the street. I'm not sure how many apartments are over there, but that'd be the first of its kind right in that section because, like they're saying, that's a massive building.
Yeah.
And like the city was thinking that they would do something different with it than the rooming house, like adding, 4 apartments or anything, but they said it's not really feasible for,
Yeah.
what they're trying to do and how much it's going to cost and everything.
How many properties are in or how many rooms are in your other rooming house on East Market?
So 1,300, which is right beside Turkey Hill, there's 15 in that one, and that's the largest that we have on Market Street right now. And I wish I had pictures to show you guys that property, but it's pristine.
Is it on the other corner from
It's on the Spring Garden corner.
Spring Garden corner?
Yep, so
It's
if you're standing at Turkey Hill,
Yep.
in the parking lot, like facing Market Street, on your right-hand side, big yellow building is 1,300.
Was that formerly Malcolm Dietrich's
Yeah.
office?
Doctor's office?
Yes.
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 It's a pristine building, extremely well kept. The tenants take care of it like it's their own, and when they're on a property like this, you attract a higher class tenant and they take care of the place.
When was that building converted?
I think 2012, I believe.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2013, so right around that area. Brandon Hershey and Steve Scheiding, I believe, started that one. Manor House at 1416 East Market Street, that's been a rooming house since anyone ever knows.
How long's this property been on the market?
Quite some time, to
Yeah.
my knowledge.
I think about a year, I believe.
I think it was actually withdrew from the market, and then we reached out to the realtor about it, asking some questions, and
Okay.
When you're talking about leasing, my, just general knowledge was rooming house was like it's a weekly, like transients. I mean, what is your rental policy?
It's a week to week, but most people are there for years.
Yeah.
I mean, at the one on 1416 East Market, the one guy's been there 30 years. Worked at Harley Davidson, been there his whole life.
So the rooming house definition doesn't have a limit on time frame, I guess?
Correct.
So this is really kind of like an apartment.
Essentially, it's just
Essentially.
shared living spaces or shared common areas.
Do you recall Monday night when it was discovered kind of late into the ball game that, oh, by the way, we need a variance for the number of rooms. And when you said 18, even on the not-so-good picture on my laptop computer, I think I saw a couple of jaws drop on the planning commission.
Yeah.
Now, I've been here long enough to see a number of rooming house discussions and also adaptive reuse of even larger, block-long factory buildings or a 3-story office building may be taking up not a block, but large. And I understand that, of course, if it's an old factory building, it might be bought for a pittance and cost a fortune to rehab and turn into what the vision of the developer. And the discussion usually goes like, well, in the middle of our neighborhood, you want to put 60 apartments? Really? Couldn't 40 work? And then, no, not with the investment required. We're not doing this with a multi-million-dollar federal grant. And in order for it to work, we need the 60 apartments. But when you know, I'm just trying to imagine how I've never come anywhere close to operating a rooming house. I can only imagine. But it would seem to me that it would be, you know, the better the living experience, the longer you would keep people you would like to keep. And when I saw the sale price on the contract, I thought, well, maybe in order for that to work, maybe they have to have 18 rental rooms. And you probably did some figuring before you decided to sign a contract.
Of course.
For that price. But do you think there's any possibility that you could have done a contract for just a little bit less and had maybe if there was one room on each floor that was like a common area? Because, you know, I can imagine people living in a room less than 250 square feet, but I think it would be a little bit more livable if connected with the kitchens, are any of them like eat-in sized kitchens?
Yeah,
They
both on
are?
the second floor are pretty good sized kitchen. Yep. They can have a dining room table in there. I mean, our experience with the 20 other room houses we have, they all stick to their rooms. That is their common space. You know, they don't really mingle with anyone else. They go out, eat, go to the bathroom, and go back in their room. You know, it's just the way that's how it's always been in our experience. Whether that's right or wrong, but that's sort of how it seems to go. I don't think we have really a single room in house that has a quote-unquote common area that people just hang out in. That's not what they do.
Well, I guess by definition, eat-in kitchens are common areas.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just gonna ask you, how large of a staff do you have? I mean, obviously, there's a requirement to go in and, you know, if somebody moves in, out after a week, the room has to be cleaned and all that. Is that just you guys doing it? or
Yeah,
the
we
other staff?
have a handful of contractors
Okay,
that we're always
so-
pulling from at all times.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how much improvement on this place? I mean, looking at the pictures, it looks in pretty good shape, other than maybe put a wall here for dividing the one room on the second floor, and bathrooms and everything else seem to work just fine, and there's not gonna be a whole lot of additional stuff, maybe new appliances or something, I don't know, but,
Exactly
Yeah.
right. It's
Okay.
not gonna take much.
okay.
So the planning commission did not address this variance.
I'm sorry?
Right.
The planning commission did not address this variance.
The 18-room variance.
18-room.
Correct. Yeah, I don't understand how we're seeing it.
And
Wait.
I,
Yeah, they did. They read it into the record and everything. It was like the last one, right? That was the last one that was the last variance they got that night.
it's not on their minutes. They didn't make
It's
a
not on the
motion.
minutes?
Is not.
Yeah, I mean, I can't do it with what we have here. I mean, it's,
And there also is a legal question here, and that is, this variance was not advertised. And, you know, I'm struggling here because you're asking for 3 times what's allowed. And if somebody who looked at the notice in the paper and there's no reference to this, that might set people off. In other words, they may not have cared about not being owner occupied or whatever, but there hasn't been notice given on this variance, and that's problematic.
agree, yeah.
Monty, do you recall, right about at this point in our discussion, happened Monday evening, And Nancy had some explanation about, that amounted to, oh, it's okay. But I don't remember exactly, do you, exactly how she, why she said, I know she was saying that she didn't feel that advertising was essential for this variance.
Well, I mean,
Let me finish. For the planning commission, I guess because the planning commission is advisory, they don't make the final decision.
Correct.
But I thought, now, would that protection or that justification extend as far as us?
I am not sure.
let's assume it was legally fine. I mean, I can't make a motion for 18 rooms when the maximum is 6. Not in my mind right now. But it's not legal from what we're saying.
Well, it hasn't been legally advertised, maybe is the term
And that puts
to
you
look.
at risk.
And that's maybe why nobody's here. Is there anybody here that's negatively here for this? So that may be another issue. And to protect the board, I think our solicitor has come up with something that makes sense. And I hate to do that to you, because I think we were about to ready to vote for you.
My only question is, if the planning commission voted on it and approved it, why wasn't it added into this minutes and advertised correctly then?
Right. Well, it would have been advertised before even the planning commission, because they just met this week.
Okay.
So it's advertised a month in advance or so.
What I want to know is why didn't you include it in your original application? Why did you
Same.
know that you were going to have 18 rooms?
Correct. When I spoke to Monty on the phone, he said to bring it up during the meeting and we can discuss
But
about
I'm
it.
asking you why,
That is why.
So in other words, you knew that the limit was 6, but you wanted 18, so you came to the meeting and asked for it?
Yeah.
Got it.
Because it wasn't in his packet, but when we talked on the phone,
Yeah.
he said he was just going to bring it up in front of the board to see how, if
Gotcha.
you can get it or not.
Well, I can't give it. I don't know if you guys can.
Well, I think legally we're kind of bound now, because it's now in the minutes that it should have been advertised as wanting to be an 18-room place, because I don't know what your neighbors are going to think about it. And I think we have to probably do what we did on the first one, is postpone this, whatever the right term, continue it, and then,
you'll need to submit, my recommendation is you'll need to submit an application or amend this application to include that variance request so that the city can advertise it. And I think we can probably get it in for the next March hearing, but you gotta get that done pretty quickly.
Sure.
So at least the public has notice, right? Maybe nobody cares, which is okay, but then you're protected too, because if this board were to grant a request in your favor and somebody found out about it, they can file an appeal.
Monty, how would you like to see that then? Because I can make edits through OpenGov.
We'll just get together tomorrow. I'll call you and we'll work everything out and get this put in the right way. Make sure you're on time so you can be heard next month.
I think you can use the same number and maybe just say an additional variance, like for the advertisement for going from 6 to 18. There might be
would-
some extra fees for advertising.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. When they finally hit submit and everything come in, it's very hard to go back in here and try to change everything. So that's what I was going to try to do, to see if we can even add it to it, or will they have to get a whole new case number or something like that. That's because going through a whole new case number really doesn't do anything for them. So I'm gonna have to try to figure out how we could put that in with it.
Okay, sorry to make your life difficult, but.
is there anything with your agreement of sale that's, I mean, can you get a continuance? I don't know when it expires.
We'll try.
Okay.
have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm all in favor of staying legal, but how do I want to put this? If we advertise it, if there's a single person in the room to oppose it, I'll take the whole room full of people to the Yorktown for lunch. And I can't afford to do that. You know, it's, this part of East Market Street is so commercial and so developed in various ways. It's not Old Town East. I don't say that derisively, but in Old Town East, any minor threat brings us a room full of people. And I just don't think that attitude or that level of concern, call it what you want, exists that far out on East Market Street. It's like it's more like a commercial area. I'm sure there are still perhaps a few residences, but it's doctors' offices. It's this, that, and the other thing.
I think the following block up from them, it's a mixture. There's a lot of apartments. Even the ones that used to be doctor's office, that's why I asked about Malcolm Dietrich's old office, because a lot of them that did have doctor's offices on the first floor and attorney's offices and stuff, and then apartments on the second, they've now converted them that a lot of them are apartment houses. And that goes the whole ways out to, what is that out there, the where Fuddruckers was. It's
Right, past
the way out
83.
there.
Yeah, I agree.
You got a whole mixture all through there.
So, and I don't want it to become another cemetery issue where we start reading about this property in the papers, just like the big run on the cemetery problem out for the York County zoning board, because it wasn't advertised correctly. So,
Yeah, and Monty, I think now that we're going, if they're looking for 18, I think maybe you should also check parking requirements. I'm not sure what the requirements are for a rooming house, but you gotta make sure there's sufficient off-street parking for 18.
Yeah, it's just a lot different than what was presented in the information that we have.
Yeah, our apologies on that, you know,
I don't,
this is kinda how we thought we were supposed to present
Yeah.
it, so our apologies.
yeah, no. Appreciate you guys.
so
A motion to continue the hearing until the March. And if they're not ready or if something happens, you can always continue it again, but why don't we at least make a motion to continue the hearing to March to allow them to submit
I'll,
an application.
so moved. Is that,
second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Nugent and seconded by Mr. Holman to continue the case to the March agenda to give the city time to advertise the variance to the number of rooms allowed in a rooming house. Any questions or comments?
No, calling for the vote?
Okay, calling for the vote, Mr. Nugent.
aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman.
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins.
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. And Williams, no. So the motion carries. And so we can look forward to seeing you again next month.
All right, thank you,
See you
guys.
in a month.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ready for number 8?
Ready.
Okay, case number 8-2024-FE/B. The applicant is Abner Desir, 800 South Duke Street. The property location is 802 South Duke Street, RS2 zoning district, a single-family attached residential conservation district. The background is the applicant desires to convert a single-family residence into a 2-unit multifamily dwelling. There are 2 variances requested for definitional variance to allow the conversion. Planning Commission recommended approval, and the second is a dimensional variance from the density requirements. And that was also recommended for approval by the Planning Commission. I'm sorry, the third variance is a request and requirement the property be vacant for 2 years. It's more than I thought. And the fourth variance is the variance from the off-street parking. 3 spaces of off-street are required, and it seems that the property only has 2 off-street parking spaces. Planning Commission recommended approval of that variance. Finally, overall, there needs to be a special exception to allow the multifamily conversion from a different use. And the Planning Commission recommended approval of that special exception.
And as I recall, there was some discussion at the Planning Commission about that the second floor apartment lacks a fire escape. Am I recalling correctly?
Get their names in this. Why don't we start out with names? Why don't we give your names?
Yes.
Adner Desi,
Okay. You're the owner?
yes.
Okay. And you, sir?
Jean-Claude.
So when you tell us about the property and what brings you here, did you read it in? Yeah. Maybe you can explain the fire escape situation with the second floor, since it was a major concern at the Planning Commission.
No, you again.
He said he doesn't have it on the second floor.
I'm sorry, you have to
You
speak
just-
up.
He said he doesn't have a fire escape on the second floor.
Yeah, first they saw one, then they didn't, then they did, then I don't see one yet. Hmm?
No.
I don't see 2 spaces. How you getting 2 parking spaces and you're landlocked?
So maybe you can describe what is on the property right now? What's on the first floor?
Mando ki sa kom so décrit combien qui ba qui dans premier étage, la deuxième combien chambre, comme si
Premier floor again, 1 bedroom, 1 living room. 1 bedroom, 1 living room, 1 kitchen.
the first floor.
First floor, yes.
Et pour deuxième na konya.
Deuxième again, 3 bedroom, 1 living room, 1 kitchen.
So there already are 2 units at the house?
Yes, you already 2 unit, you already rent. Yes.
So what happened that made you come here, if there's already 2 units? When you purchased the property, were there 2 units already there?
Quand le bon me pose question, l'autre fait acheter là on seul appartement.
First, 1 unit.
It was 1 unit when he bought it.
Okay.
And is it currently being rented as 2 units?
Yes.
Yeah, for the 2 unit, 2003,
2003,
2023.
23.
Yeah.
Okay.
For you.
All right. So you just recently converted it to 2 units from 1,
Yeah.
but it's not inspected for 2 units.
So technically, you're not supposed to have people in there if it's not licensed and inspected.
No, you know, expected.
For 2 unit, no inspection yet.
Okay. And there are currently 2 tenants in there, 2 separate
Yes.
tenants, as if it were 2 apartments.
Ou gen 2 moun différents dans kay la konya.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
That wasn't supposed to happen.
No, I didn't see that, but,
I
okay.
just want to bring it to the board's attention. It's saying he can provide 2 parking spaces, but if you look in the picture, it's a gate behind the house. And the house is landlocked behind that gate, so I don't see any parking. Huh? But that garage is on Jackson. That's not their property. Right, so behind that gate is another house. So there's no off-street parking.
What are the terms of the 2 lease agreements that are currently your tenants? How long are the lease agreements signed for? You guys have that readily available?
It was a 6-month lease.
6-month lease for both of them?
Yes.
Okay.
But it just renew it with them.
Okay. So right now, Monty, we're not inspected. We got 2 units there. We've got no safe escape from the second unit.
Correct, and that's why it wasn't supposed to be a second unit rented until after he had his approval. 'Cause If
Understood.
he doesn't have approval, now you're still illegal.
Right. What's the turnaround, should we approve something of inspection and the ability to get them, safe?
Right now, it's like the busy season for inspectors. so
Yeah.
I can't even give you
Yeah.
time.
Are you, right now, I'm not so worried about the parking as the safety of the second floor. There's a tenant in there and no way to get out.
Yeah, I
I
think
thought
after the last week or two, I think a building without a fire escape has to be probably our major concern. Monty, do you recall the planning commission kind of recommended approval of everything, but they did voice real concern about the fire escape issue. And so
Yeah, they was very concerned about that, and, being on the zoning side, that's really on the code side, so they won't pass inspection unless they can meet all the criteria under codes. So they will have to do whatever the inspector tells them that they have to do to make everything come to code before they can even have it rented. See, that's the problem we're having, because he already got tenants there, so.
Property was bought in 2023, correct? I'm sorry. Well,
Avant
Like,
2023.
oh, it was turned into 2 in 2023.
What is then 2011?
2011, okay. All right, and has it been inspected as a rental since then?
I think when he went to do it for this coming year, that's when everything got put on hold, because they realized it was 2 units now. And he thought he was able to do it, but yeah, because of the language barrier, I guess he thought he was okay, and then just get it inspected, licensed and everything, and then when he came to do that, that's when threw the red flag.
So it was never inspected as even a 1 unit?
Oh yeah, it was inspected as a 1 unit. I'm about to pull it up. My computer stopped freezing. ...2022, it was inspected, and 2014 was the last time it was inspected before 2022. So it's not even really a consistent record with this being licensed and inspected.
And that would have been only for the first floor.
Correct, because it's in the system, it's still saying 1 unit. So technically, it's really single-family home, but since it was converted without going through zoning, that's what threw all the red flags, and that's why he has to be here tonight to try to get approval.
So the second floor has never been inspected, is that what we're saying?
If it was inspected, it was inspected as a whole house.
Right.
But after he cut it into 2 apartments, it has not had inspection.
If that home were inspected as a 1 unit, would it pass without the fire escape or whatever the scenario is here?
Yes.
It would pass without. Okay. What are you guys thinking? What do we?
Well, I'm thinking 2 things. We really don't like to evict people, but on the other hand, if they're going to leave the property, I'd rather they not leave it in body bags.
Well, from what I hear, it's inspected safe for a 1 unit, but I don't know if I fully understand it.
Well, with single family, you do not have to have a fire escape for your 2nd or 3rd floor. When it comes to multi-family, you have to have 2 means of egress for the people upstairs in case of fire, so they don't get trapped. They have 2
Got it.
different ways out of the building.
So it's not safe.
No.
Elsbeth?
I was reading, it sounds like a mode of egress.
You're not going to be heard unless you come to the, you won't be physically heard unless, you know, the routine, unless you come to the microphone.
Hello. I wanted to ask a question about the fire escape requirement, because we have lots of two-unit, three-story buildings, and I'm not aware that we've required fire escape from the third floor unless the third floor was its own separate apartment. And if it's a second and third floor apartment combined, and they can get out the second floor or get out a window on the third floor, I was just reading about a window being an acceptable means of egress on the third floor. So the fire escape requirement for the third floor, I'm just questioning if we understand that correctly, but clearly there is no off-street parking.
But there's no fire escape at all.
And I don't know that there needs, I'm asking, does there have to be a fire escape? Because we approved lots of two units without requiring a fire escape.
True.
But they do have, it does look like it has a second floor porch that exits to the rear.
Good point.
And that's really a code enforcement issue.
True.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys have discussion, thoughts?
Do you have anything else to present? Do-
Anything else you want to add?
L'autre document, bien l'autre bar, vous voulez dire.
Non, pas grand dit, non, c'est vraiment tout document là, mais
No.
Okay.
You could, if you were inclined to approve, you could condition it on the applicant getting code approval.
And that's the case anyway, right?
So if he doesn't.
Yes, he would have to pass codes inspection for it to be legal anyway. Yeah.
Right.
So even if he
Has
do
to
get
be.
approved, it has to pass codes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was my fault.
If he gets approval tonight, he still has to go and get it inspected for safety. And if he doesn't pass codes, they will not allow him to rent that property. But because he already got somebody in there, that's where it's going to get a little dicey.
But that's not your problem.
But that's not the zoning board's problem, so that's what I'm bringing up
Got it.
too. Okay, I guess I still have a question where, parking is a big deal for the board. Where are the two parking spots or three parking spots required?
Il demande deux parking, il demande côté à pied.
non, il pas gen parking. Il dans la rue, mon yo parking.
Oh, he doesn't have a parking.
It doesn't have any parking, okay. Okay, I guess we're in discussion. One of the things I'm realizing, since we're talking about parking, there's not even any discussion about parking on any of the variances.
Yeah, there is.
So is that an oversight, or, I mean, there's obviously a requirement for, I think it's 3 parking spots for 2 units, correct?
Yeah.
There's nothing on here asking, because they basically don't have any parking, so shouldn't there been a variance to request a variance from the parking requirement? There's nothing here.
Here it is.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's right here.
it's on the
Where?
second page.
Ah, wait, I'm sorry, I'm missing the second page.
Oh, about
Sorry, hold on, never mind. Where the heck is
Missing
it?
a couple variances. Yeah, it's right there.
All right, never mind, sorry,
Well,
But
turn my mic off.
did the applicant just say a minute or two ago that he has no parking?
correct.
And it's
Off-street parking, yeah.
no off-street parking, and it says here in the zoning ordinance requires 3 off-street parking spaces for the proposed 2 units, and the applicant can provide only 2.
But now he can't provide any.
I'm sorry?
He can't provide any.
That's what we're hearing now, which is not what it says in the variance appeal. It, possibly, yeah, possibly.
Yep. So we have no parking. We already have 2 tenants in one a single-family unit.
The place is already two apartments based on pictures, so.
We're kind of on the middle of the fence. Do we back off or do we climb on over?
You guys were talking about that area being rough on parking? Do your tenants have cars?
Est-ce que moun ki nan kay la gen machine, moun ki loue kay yo? Est-ce que yo gen machine?
Gen Haitien we, gen machine, gen pa gen machine. Yo a gen.
Ok, kom yo yon ba gen sak nan kay yo loue 2 apartment.
Gen machine nan lot kay yo. Gen
Non nan kay sa nan pa
kay ma
800
pale ya.
there.
We gen yon ki gen machine.
Only one car.
One car
of them have a
currently.
car.
Gotcha. Thank you. How's your relationship with your neighbors?
Est-ce que yo gen problem avek wazyan yo?
Oh no.
Everything's good.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that response. What is Mr. Desir's relationship with the neighbors? How do they get along?
Just fine.
Yes, fine.
Fine?
Yes. No problem.
No problems?
No problem.
Monty, have you been in this property?
To meton gen de.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Is there parking in that block on, like, straight across
No, I believe it's yellow stripe the whole way
from that alley to?
to Duke. I mean, yeah, to Jackson. I said.
I thought so.
May I ask another question
Please.
of Monty? The other, it looked like there are 4 or 5 houses attached to this one on that same block. Are any of those multi-unit or are they all single family? Whether you know the answer or not, I don't know.
The one right next door to it on the corner, that's a multi-unit, because that does have the, fire escape attached to it.
Oh, I thought this was on the corner.
No.
This is not on the
Second
corner.
one.
Second one.
The one with the handicap ramp.
Yes.
Yeah, the one with the handicap
Oh, okay, I was looking at the one on the corner. It had the 2 gas meters and the side porch. So,
That's on the corner.
Ya e de kay sa le pale.
802, that makes sense.
In my mind, I'm just, since we're not talking much, I'm inclined to say there's just not enough to make this a 2-unit right now. I mean, there's just too much doubt in my mind as to how this is gonna work out. I know there are 2 leases, and I know that means trouble for one of them, but any other thoughts? No, I just said I'd be inclined to not approve this.
Sina,
Yes, sir.
what's your inclination?
Knowing that area, parking is gonna be one of the strongest things that I feel would be a,
Is your mic on?
oh, no, sir, I'm sorry. I was just talking to you. I was saying that, knowing that area, that I know parking would be a big issue and would actually impact the neighborhood on the other streets, not just Duke Street, where this house resides. Because they can't park across the street at all. That whole area there is yellow lined. It's only parking on one side. When you cross over Jackson Street, they only have parking on one side. If you go Duke Street side, I think there are 2 or 3 houses, because we had one on the market, so there's multiple units over there. And then you have the old movie theater, which their parking lot is gonna be private property, which would be, behind their house. That's what deadlocks them in, is the old movie theater's parking lot.
Did these gentlemen come to you to make this a 2-unit? Or was it something that was like caught?
It was when it got caught. Michelle directed them to come see me.
Gotcha. And can you give us any more background on how that happened?
So if I go in and look at their record, in January 27, 2023, the tenant occupied inspection got halted because it was supposed to be a 1-unit.
Okay, so they did call to get inspected for a 2-unit?
Yes,
They actually called us to get inspected as
Yes.
a 2-unit.
yes.
And we went out and saw that there are 2 tenants there. It's,
When it first happened, I don't believe there was 2 tenants there.
okay.
It was just, it got caught, and then they put the inspection on hold, and he
It
was
already
supposed to see
broken
me.
into 2 units at that time for the inspection?
I'm not sure, because on the inspection report, it don't have it on. Let me pull it right back up real quick. See if he got some pictures in here.
So what halted the inspection?
The fact that it went from 1 unit to 2.
Oh, so then it had been broken down into 2
Yep.
by then?
I want to see, yeah, I can't see in these pictures if it's occupied on both floors. But, yeah, once that got caught, that's when Michelle reached out to him, told him to come talk to her, tell them everything they need to do it legally. And then that's when they start trying to do it legally. And everything's been on hold until they finish this process, basically. Let me see. Yeah, because the last completed inspection was March 1st of 2022. And then January 30th, they had one. It says complete, but we know they have to get approval from here. And
And has it been inspected since 2011 regularly?
since 2011 regularly, I got the 14th, 2014, 2022, 2023, and 2024.
Okay. All right. And you guys are fairly confident that parking is a massive issue on this street?
It is.
Okay.
Are the utilities separate?
Est-ce que comme si bill gaz courant séparé?
Yes.
So there's 2 water heaters, 2 electric meters?
No 2 minutes. Gaz a séparé, everything séparé. Seulement light, that's it. Seulement lumière.
Qui séparé ou bien qui pas
Tout
séparé?
bagage séparé, seulement lumière qui pas séparé.
Okay, he say only the light is not separate, but everything else is too. Only the light.
The electric?
Yes.
Okay.
The electric.
Oh, I just found this out, when is this? January 30th, 2024. It was still a single-family home.
January 30th.
That was just this year.
Okay.
I don't understand. I thought the testimony was in 2023, he converted it
Yeah.
to a 2-family.
Hold on. Let me do it.
Allez, on va dire que ce soit nan qui année où tu commencé, où tu séparé Kaila.
2023.
Qui mois?
Nope. January 30th. Oh, man, that's the wrong one.
Janvier 2023. tu sais.
2023, ça a été enfermé. Oui, en janvier.
January 27th, 2023. It's tenant occupied, says active, and it says 1 unit. So then I go to the latest one I see is 2024, and it still says 1 unit. So I guess they're not changing it on their inspection and not going to finish the inspection until he gets approved for the 2 units. So that's what the holdup is. They will not finish the inspection until he gets approval.
They're not gonna call it a 2-unit until he gets approval.
Right.
Just to keep the
it's legally
conversation
converted.
going, I would approve everything except for the parking right now, but if they don't have the parking, they don't have the 2 unit, right? So,
I'm still stuck on these meters. No, I had asked it, and now I'm looking at the pictures, I'm just. He said only the electric
It's not separate.
is not separate.
It's not. But everything else is separate.
So in your pictures, you have pictures of your basement, okay? There's only 1 gas meter.
You got two gas.
So now there's 2? So these pictures are old?
Oh,
Li
the-
di nan foto a, ou di l gen 2000 di nan foto a se yon li we. Li
Le-
mando si konya eske gen to, eske gen de.
Depuis le tap fait photo, te get a gen de. Oui, yo pa fait photo, mais gen de. Tout mite.
He said when they took the picture, it was 2 there, but he doesn't know. They might take the picture wrong. He said there was 2 at the time of the picture.
A tout fenêtre.
Yeah, I'm only showing 1 in this picture. In your basement pictures, the bottom right-hand picture, it's only showing 1.
E moun ki ta fait plan mwen, se li ki te fait photo sa yo, mba konen, men te get a gen.
E sa yo,
Mwen
on
sa
sel
l
li
di a,
gen.
oui. Moun ki ta fait plan, se li ki fait photo a, se li ki ta fait photo yo, men te get a gen. La photo, oui.
Non problem ni a foto a se yon ki la dan.
A même do moun ki ta fait plan, se li ki ta fait photo a an ba, se li ki pran yon, men te get a gen te, li ga tout fenêtre.
Oh, okay. He said when they took the picture, there was already two furnace down there, but he doesn't know why they only take a picture of 1.
Moun ki ta fait plan pou mwen, li ki te ke.
Plan Kaila?
Oui, papier klan men yo a.
Does make sense.
Koman, tale, es moun ki fè foto sa, se inspekteur a ou moun
Non,
ki ta
ou yon moun ki ta fè plan ka la mwen, ki la men yo a, plan yap gade ya. Se li menm ki te fè foto a, se li menm ki pa metel, men te getan, li gen tou founes.
lèl te fè foto a.
Oui, li menm, ki tal fè lan bismet lan foto yo, sa vi di ki te getan gen tou founes. Alors non, li pa fè foto a, men te getan gen tou founes.
Men, pap, te m pose an ti kesyon avan m repon. Eske yo tout pre ou chak nan bon?
Yo tou pou.
E ben gè le pot komite lèl fè foto a, pase yon nan foto pa gen la, e problem nan.
Yo li gen tou founes.
He said he has to, so I'm just here to translate for him. So
I understand.
I wasn't at the house, so he said he has to, but the picture showed one, but he said the person who took the picture for him took only one, but he said he has to.
But if he's stating that he has two, where this one is, it should be right with that one if there were two. It wouldn't be someplace else, not that.
There's only one line coming in from the wall where the gas.
Yeah, you ta dwe wel nan foto a.
Yeah, they should be together.
They di tout de ansam.
Maybe it's an old picture.
E problem nan sa.
Yo gen tou founes.
Ta ve di foto sa ou pran avan.
What are you guys thinking?
I'm not sure right now.
E problem
Well,
nan sa.
we need to decide.
Koman se fèt ko fini?
E ben sat bay problem nan foto a pran avan installe lot.
I mean, even if you table it, you're not gonna get another furnace.
No.
You're not gonna get another gas.
Well, maybe they can get a better picture. Maybe it's there.
Okay. I'm ready to make a motion if everybody else is.
Go for it.
Let's see here. I move to deny a variance to the required off-street parking spaces found in section 1304.01-1.02.002 for the property at 802 South Duke Street in the RS2 zoning district.
I second.
It's been moved by Mr. Nugent and seconded by Ms. Jenkins to deny the variance to the parking requirement in case number 8-2024Z regarding 800 South Duke Street. Calling for the vote, Mr. Nugent?
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman?
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins?
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. And Williams, aye.
So that means we don't need to go any further because we have the, or do we?
Well,
I think you have to.
I think you might have to deny the special exception, because he doesn't, he's asking.
I would approve all of the rest of the stuff, if that makes sense. But I would deny it because,
But you gotta deny the special exception.
okay, so,
He doesn't meet the parking.
gotcha. Okay, I'm with you. Okay, I'm with you.
But since this case has the variances already addressing, and they are addressed to the board, shouldn't we say something about them? Either we approve them or we disapprove them. I don't think we can just not say anything about them.
Okay.
So
We
I
can
think
do that.
if you want to approve them,
Yeah.
approve them.
Okay, but I have to, I move to deny a special exception to allow multifamily use as defined in section 1304.
Before you do that, I think you need to do the variances first, because all the variances are dependent on, even if we approve them.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? And then
All right.
do the special exception.
I move to approve a variance to the definition of multifamily conversion to a different use as defined in section 1304.01-1.02.002A at 802 South Duke Street in the RS2 zoning district.
I'll second.
Which variance is that?
It's the
The
first
very
one.
first one.
The definition variance.
The definition? Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Nugent and seconded by Mr. Holman to approve the variance to the definition of an allowed conversion. Calling for the vote, Mr. Nugent.
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman.
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins.
Nah.
Jenkins, nay. And Williams, nay.
I move to approve
So-
Just so we're clear of that, there were 2 ayes and 2 nays, so that's a denial.
That's
Right.
correct.
yes, yep,
I didn't think I would have to, I'm glad I mentioned that at the beginning.
yeah, yeah.
Glad I mentioned that at the very beginning.
Yes, yes.
So I'm going to move to approve a dimensional variance for multifamily conversion from a different use found in section 1304.01-1.02.002 to include conversion of a single-family home into 2 units for the property at 802 South Duke Street in the RS2 zoning district.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Nugent and seconded by Mr. Holman to approve the dimensional variance. To approve the variance from the density requirement. Calling for the vote, Mr. Nugent.
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman.
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins.
Nah.
Jenkins, nay, and Williams, nay.
That's another denial.
That's another, okay, so I will move to deny a special exception to allow multifamily use as defined in section 13. Oh, wait a second, I'm sorry. I scratch all of that. I move to approve a special exception to allow multifamily use as defined in section 1304.
Wait,
You're doing the same.
you're missing one.
Am I?
You need there's a
The 2 years.
vacant for 2 years. Number 3.
Property vacant for 2 years.
Gotcha, okay, thank you. I'll move to approve a variance to waive the special exception provision that the property must have been vacant for 2 years found in section 1311.11C1 for the property located at 802 South Duke Street in the RS2 zoning district.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Nugent, seconded by Mr. Holman. Is this to approve or deny?
To approve.
To approve the variance from the special exception requirement that the property be vacant for 2 years. Calling for the vote, Mr. Nugent.
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman.
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins.
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. And Williams, nay.
And I have to move to deny a special exception to allow multifamily uses defined in section 1304.01-1.02.002 at 802 South Duke Street in the RS2 zoning district.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Nugent and seconded by Mr. Holman to deny the special exception to allow conversion, multifamily conversion. Calling for the vote, Mr. Nugent.
Aye.
Nugent, aye. Mr. Holman.
Aye.
Holman, aye. Ms. Jenkins.
Aye.
Jenkins, aye. And Williams, aye.
So it's,
You will receive notice in the mail of the decision.
Thank you.
thank you.
Well, I'm gonna hold it in. Oh, this will be easy.
Yeah.
Can we say we're adjourned?
And I can see him saying that.
Check, hey, Mr. Chair, can we say we're adjourned so she can stop typing?
I'm sorry?
Adjourned?
Adjourn so she can stop typing.
We're adjourned, but I